In the New Testament Bible, Jesus used parables as a means of communicating a profound message from the Father, Mother, God, using simple language of everyday events to convey to this generation who have sadly become spiritually impoverished. Because many in our society have become so preoccupied with self that they ignore the divine spark within them. They forget the need to feed the divine spark. Please let me explain. One of the parables that touched my life was the parable of the rich young man. He had everything. Everything material you could think of, he had it. And he was a good man. He was a thriving businessman. He had friends in high places. He was kind. He was charitable. He was honorable. He didn't engage in deceit. He didn't make himself bankrupt to avoid paying people their dues like many businesses do today. He lived a good life, and he demonstrated his love of his God through the good things he did for those who were less fortunate than he. And he'd heard about this guy called Jesus, and he thought, wow, he's a radical. He talks of love. He talks about loving your neighbor, loving your enemy, doing good to those who hate you and persecute you. He thought, wow, I really need to get to know this guy. In fact, I would like to follow him. I would like to be a part of this panacea. And in the distance he seen Jesus. And when he approached Jesus, there was a connection. Two souls entwined in the presence of God. Like ours when we come together in prayer and we ask the presence of God to come into our heart. And that presence can only come into our heart when we use that gift that God has given us, and it is the gift of free will. Oh yes, I've heard so many people say, how can God allow this to happen? Why does God punish the innocent children in Biafra? Why does God allow such cruel people to do such horrendous things in the name of God? But let me tell you, if we have the love of God within our heart, our conscience will not allow us engage in ungodly activities. And I truly do believe that it is not God who's the perpetrator of such evil, vile crimes to mankind. It is us, because we've abused the gift of free will. Look at the planet at the moment. Look at the Gulf of Mexico, what's happening. That wasn't caused by God. That was caused by man. The deforestation of the rainforests, the change in climate, temperatures rising, no longer proper seasons. That isn't God. That's us, where we have put the weight of the dollar at the expense of sacrificing God's plan for his people and taking the food from the mouths of hungry people. So we were given a gift, and the gift is free will, to make choices that resonate and to honor them. And with the rich young man, he wanted to be a part of Jesus. He longed, he knew when he looked into his eyes, as you're looking into mine, that here he found nirvana. He found acceptance. He found dignity. He found respect. And he wanted to be a part of this ministry. He wanted to work and walk alongside this good man. And when Jesus held him, He knew he was a good man. He knew he was a kind man. He knew that he honored his God and that he was fair, that he was respectful and mindful of the Holy Book, the teachings of Moses. And he said to him, Master, I want to follow you and become a fisher of men. What must I do? And Jesus looked at him, already knowing the answer, because he was God, said, to be a follower of mine, you must give all that you have to the poor, and then come follow me, and I will make you great in the kingdom of heaven. And you will be able to perform the same miracles as I do, if not better. And then something happened. There was a deep sense of shock, sadness, where the rich young man knew in his heart that he had to surrender, to hand over, to give his wealth to good causes, to free himself of all the trappings of materialism, status, success. By surrendering his heart, he would free himself from all distraction and honor his heart. But he couldn't, because he was attached to his wealth. And isn't that true today of so many who are called? Many are called, few are chosen, Jesus said. Many are indeed called by God's Spirit to come and embrace the I Am presence and live a simple life, in the world but not of it, not following as a follower of fashion, not being dictated to in a nanny state, to honor the divine within, to be normal, to be healthy, but the heart belongs to God. How many today have heard that call and start off with the right intentions, and then when the going gets tough they give up? Is it because they're immature, they're spoiled, or is it that they're afraid? I don't know. I can presume that it's because they're not ready. But if we truly experience the love and the tenderness and compassion of God, a selfless God, who honors us, who respects us, who gives us free will, there's no other galaxy where the beings of light have been given free will, only ours, and yet we abuse it. What does that say about us? But when we surrender our heart and say, yes, Lord, I give you my heart, I will follow you wherever you may lead me, then we experience the touch of God. Or are we going to become like the rich young man, a good man, an honorable man, but fame and riches and a position of importance in society were pulling at his heartstrings? Let us pray. Let us enter our heart now and just ask the Spirit of truth, the Spirit of all-knowing, the Spirit of generosity, the Spirit of kindness, to come into our heart and fill us with the message of God, the peace of God, a peace that transcends all understanding. May the peace of God, may the blessing of God empower you today. Peace.